What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another reaction on this channel. Now, in today's video, we're going to be speaking about a very touchy topic, but something that we all know, right? I came across this video right here titled, So What's Really Happening in Israel? We all know that mainstream media has a funny way of promoting certain stories just so they can cover up something else. And apparently, this video right here is going to be exposing what the Israeli and Palestinian war is actually trying to cover up. Now, we're about to hop right into it. Really no need to delay. Make sure you guys do leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But without further ado, let's get right into it, man.
The case again, it always is to wade through the deceit, the diversions, the cul-de-sacs, the lies surrounding what is currently happening in Israel. And of course, you won't get this information in the mainstream media. In fact, from what I've seen in the last 24 hours, you won't get it from some of the, quote, big names in the so-called alternative media. What is the case again? It always is with every war, is that civilians on both sides are being slaughtered. Always the case, while those that order the slaughtering stay in a safe place. When Iraqi civilians were being slaughtered with the invasion of Iraq by America and Britain, where were Boy George Bush and Tony Blair? Where were they while it was all going on? Sipping coffee in the White House and Downing Street. It's always the way. And we have Netanyahu sitting here now pontificating. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. You, mate, are doing nothing. You're sending others to do it like you always do. And the same goes for that which is really behind. Not the window dressing, what is really behind what is known as Hamas. So, first of all, the bottom line. This was not a surprise attack. Oh, yeah, well, he surprised us. Oh,
and honestly speaking, that's the number one question that I've had. I told you guys in the last video related to this, where we literally reacted to live footage. The main question that I had is that why all of a sudden, now that the Ukrainian war and Russian war is subsided from our mainstream media, now that there's no major political news, now that the Hawaii fire situations have died down, now that all of these major news topics are apparently off of the mainstream media, I find it kind of ironic how something just had to happen. Why did this happen now? Apparently the war started because Palestinians are trying to reclaim their land from Israel. Understandable. But what caused it now? What really sparked it? Because I know it wasn't a surprise. I know very much so it was a planned attack. But I just find this to be very, very interesting. Let's continue.
Really? Who do you think you're talking to? Bloody idiots. We have the Israeli Defense Forces as one of the most trained and best equipped armies in the world. And we're talking about a very small area in terms of Israel, Gaza. We have Mossad, one of the most sophisticated and widespread intelligence agencies in the world that make surveillance an art form. It's on the cutting edge. It knows everything that's going on in that area. But somehow, hundreds of Hamas, quote, militants laid siege to Israel, put thousands of rockets into Israel, which they somehow gathered or built or whatever, without Mossad and the IDF having any idea. Oh no, we didn't know about that. We had Hamas operatives coming into Israel on frickin' hang gliders. But they never knew it was coming. We had fighting in all these different areas of Israel, these different locations. But the IDF and Mossad and all the rest of that vast Israeli security network had no idea.
Interesting.
Isn't that what they said with night? I'm hearing them saying this is Israel's night. Well, what happened? These planes were, they say, hijacked. And there was a big build up to it, they say, preparing for it. But the whole of the American intelligence military network, oh no, it was a surprise, we didn't know. To say they are lying to you is to state the bloody obvious, and we'll get into why. This is a quote from a former IDF soldier who was a border observer, and she worked with the highest level technology available. That's what Israel does. And this is what she said: if a bird came close, we knew.
Bird.
Even a cockroach came to our fence border, we knew. How did 400 Hamas pass through today? The answer is they were allowed to. Was this a surprise attack for the civilian population of Israel? Oh yes, of course. Was it even a surprise attack for many in the rank and file of the military? But the inner core that's running the show, surprise to them? You must be bloody joking. And this situation reminded me of someone I've quoted over the years in the books, over the decades. It's a man called Leroy Fletcher Prouty. He served as Chief of Special Operations for the Joint Chiefs of Staff under President Kennedy, JFK. He was a colonel in the United States Air Force and subsequently became a critic of US foreign policy, particularly the covert activities of the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, which he believed was working on behalf of a secret world elite. And this is the telling quote. Fletcher Prouty said, "No one has to direct an assassination, it happens. And for assassination, that means an attack like the one in Israel now as well. No one has to direct an assassination, it happens. The active role is played secretly by permitting it to happen. This is the greatest single clue," he said, "who has the power to call off or reduce the usual security precautions." Who has that power in Israel must now come under the spotlight and be questioned why they did so. Because they obviously did. Now, what they want you to do in any situation like this is to take sides. And if I'm going to take the side of anyone, I take the side of the civilians. The civilians in Israel who have been subject to these horrors that continue, and the civilians in Gaza who are now suffering the horrors of the Israeli response. But in terms of sides, one fighting the other, to take either is to lose the plot.
He said to take either is to lose the plot, lose the entire meaning as to why this is happening. Chat, this is literally live footage of what's happening right now in Israel, and it's very, very unfortunate to see. But one thing that I can say is, the reason why mainstream media promotes stuff like this without giving the information about what's happening behind closed doors is, like I always say, they literally design this matrix in order to be in their benefit. Whether it was a planned attack on a governmental level, whatever it is, for you to be known as one of the top security surveillance countries and allow people, there's clips all over social media of people literally flying in on fan-propelled hand gliders with guns, landing into the desert with guns. First of all, who's recording that? My question. And how are they even invading the land without your security, your army knowing? I just find it very questionable. And I just think that this is a way for people to create separation, create division, and create fear and hatred towards everyone. Because like the most common thing in any single situation, in the overthrow of any single society, is always to divide and conquer. That's literally what it is. Divide and conquer. As long as you create division, you will then create control. As long as you create control, you will be able to tell them, do whatever you need them to do. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening right now, especially the trickle down effect of how this is occurring all over social media and affecting U.S. citizens who are either Israeli or Palestinian. But look, yeah, I'm going to end this video right here. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this topic. Let me catch you in the next one, man. Peace.
Man, that was a great video. That was excellent. How he even explained like how the divide and conquer and choose a side and using anticipation, fear. I think it's just so crazy that these are actual things that actually happen, you know. But choosing a side and being so patriotic, because what it does is like the control over emotions, you know. And you know, when I've been learning a little bit more about narcissism, and I used to just think it was just like, you know, somebody being cocky, but it's a person who, you know, knows how to make one so empathetic towards them, so then they are so on their side that anything that they do back or anything that takes place, you know, it engulfs you into that with your full attention, and you know, it even makes you want to be like a superhero to whatever you're being empathic to. So man, I thought it was crazy, because there was one movie that came to mind when, you know, that hit me. I was like, yo, 1984. So check this clip out, cause you know, it kind of encapsulates, you know, this whole situation.
Peace.
The forces of darkness and the treasonable maggots who collaborate with them must, can, and will be wiped from the face of the earth. We must crush them. We must smash them. We must stamp them out. We, the people of Oceania, and our traditional allies, the people of Eurasia, will not rest until a final victory has been achieved. Death to the eternal enemy of Oceania. Death! Death! Death!
Brothers and sisters, 1 week from now, in this very square, we shall, as a demonstration of our resolve, as a sure sign of those who attempt to threaten our party and ourselves, we shall execute publicly the same number of East Asian prisoners by hanging, drawing, and quartering.
in accordance with the principles of doublethink. It does not matter if the war is not real, or when it is that victory is not possible. The war is not meant to be won. It is meant to be continuous. The essential act of modern warfare is the destruction of the produce of human labor. A hierarchical society is only possible on the basis of poverty and ignorance. In principle, the war effort is always planned to keep society on the brink of starvation. The war is waged by the ruling group against its own subjects, and its object is not victory over Eurasia or Eastasia, but to keep the very structure of society intact.
Don't you want to go where the rainbow ends?
Well,
and I'm sure you've heard the rumors.
The moon landing hoax?
That's right. That the moon landing was fake. The moon landings all were fake. And I was the person who filmed it.
You're serious, and okay.
I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
Because I only have this certain amount of time with you, and I'll talk about whatever you want. You know, this isn't some type of joke or film within a film thing.
Not a joke. Nope.
Okay.
The conspiracy theorists were right on this occasion.
Why?
I don't know about Paul McCartney's death, but they were right about it.
Okay. Why in God's name would... I don't know what to ask you first. Why the hell, if you're telling the truth, why would you do it? Why are you telling me? I mean, what the...
Don't you think it's important for people to know the truth?
Yeah, yes, certainly.
They had a massive fraud, an unparalleled fraud perpetrated against them. They should know.
Okay.
I mean, they're already suspicious of the government. They may as well have their suspicions confirmed.
Okay.
And justified.
And this, why now? I mean, we're almost at the 30-year anniversary. What took so long? Why, if this is true, why?
I won't go into that. It has to do with personal...
Okay.
Evolution and influences.
And, well,
I'll go into that.
Is that why you look a little haggard right now? Because you look a little worn. No offense.
Well, also, yeah, because I haven't been taking care of myself too well. I've been drinking a lot, but...
Is that because of the stress of this?
Of course, stress, guilt, just conflict of all kinds.
Wow, I mean, so you feel bad about this, clearly. I mean, this is not...
I do feel bad about it. I also feel proud of it. It's a terrible conflict.
Because you've pulled off one of the greatest hoaxes ever because of your...
And because I made a film, if you want to call it a film, which I consider to be my masterpiece.
And you can't take credit or even talk about it
Well,
you are now.
I'm hereby taking credit.
Right, but you can't actually go out. You're doing, when people see this, you'll be dead.
Until 10 years.
Right, or 15, yeah. So you can't talk to Roger Ebert about it, you know. Does that frustrate you?
I have to pay the consequences for the decision that I made many years ago to go along with this.
Like a deal with the devil.
It's Faustian, to be sure.
Because, and is that why you got such power in Hollywood? I mean, that would explain that.
Why I have the freedom I have, that was part of it, yes.
So they said, do this moon thing and we'll give you...
When I made Spartacus, I didn't have this kind of freedom.
Right.
But I have it now.
So what came first, the genius or the fraud?
NASA's doing.
Well, what came first, the genius or the fraud? I mean, did the fraud enable the genius, or was the genius released
I'd like
the fraud?
to think the genius came first.
Right.
But some frauds are hard to bypass, especially if you have an ego and you're an artist and you're presented with a challenge, the likes of which you've never seen and will probably never see again. You don't even think of the morality of it. You're just completely swept away by the flattery of it and the juices inside you, which make you want to do it as the artist you are innately. You don't think of anything else.
What a conflict. I mean, gosh, I can't imagine being presented with that opportunity. On one hand, I really would want to do it, but then I'd probably say, well, I'm committing a crime and lying and...
It depends, but my guess would be, no, you're good, you would do it. I discussed this with Levinson, Barry Levinson.
Right.
I discussed it with...
Oh, he made Wag the Dog, right?
Yes. Spielberg, of all people, believe it or not, yes.
So wait, Wag the Dog...
Coppola, Scorsese, even Woody Allen I discussed. There isn't one of them who wouldn't do this.
Right. And did that... So Barry Levinson must have been influenced by this whole... He must have known, so that's... Wag the Dog is about this whole idea. I mean, that's why...
The character was named Stanley.
Right. And he gets killed at the end because he demands credit.
Here by Stanley Kubrick to more or less ensure the scientific integrity of the film, to make sure that it's very, very close in reality, but still we want to make certain that it has a base of reality.
Before the end of the 60s, we will see a man on the moon, to the moon, an American, and we're very proud that our country continues to produce these young men who go so far and carry with them so much.